Summary. Despite the efforts of successive governments, the disability employment gap remains at around 30%, and disabled people continue to face barriers to securing long-term employment. Our inquiry has found that this starts from the moment a young person enters education, in early years, primary and secondary school, and through to how they are prepared for work and supported during their transition from education to employment, both within and outside the education system. We have learned of excellent, innovative and exceptional services achieving outstanding results in this area. But we have also heard about systems that lack resources, aspiration and expertise, and of employers who are frequently unwilling or who feel unable to bring disabled people into the workplace. We believe that this can change. The new government has shown a clear desire to get young disabled people working. To do this, it needs to focus on early support and intervention, helping young disabled people to access and stay in work when they leave education. It must also work with employers to give them the support they need to create inclusive workplaces. This report sets out the ways in which this can be achieved. Our inquiry specifically focuses on the experiences of young disabled people in the transition from education to work. We did not explore the wider public service environment, transport, health and social care, the wider education system, or the welfare system. But we acknowledge their fundamental role in determining whether disabled people can access work. And we heard how, in many cases, they are failing. Chapter 1 sets out the scope of this report, as well as the context in which this report has been written. The challenges are significant, but, as shown in Chapter 2, not insurmountable. Throughout our inquiry, we saw many effective ways of supporting young disabled people to succeed: suitable careers education, tailored support in schools and the workplace, and clear, accessible information about the transition to work. In many cases, however, these were isolated examples, or were pilot schemes at risk of being scrapped. The new government has an opportunity to draw on these examples and deliver effective services that fully support young disabled people into work. Chapter 3 focuses on how the education system prepares young disabled people for the world of work. Too often, education and careers services do not provide the tailored, specialist support that young disabled people need, or set low expectations for young disabled people at a very early age. However, there are clear examples of where things can work. If a young disabled person can get a supported internship, an accessible apprenticeship, or simply good careers advice and work experience, they are much more likely to obtain fulfilling careers further down the line. Chapter 4 examines the employment services that kick in once someone has left school. Many, including Job Centre Plus, are simply not delivering. However, we heard how newer supported employment programs can be transformational and deliver real value for money. These form a strong foundation for rapid progress in this area for the new government. We then shift our focus to the workplace itself. Chapters 5 and 6 explore the challenges young disabled people can face from employers and how their workplace rights are upheld. Many employers do a great job of supporting disabled job applicants and employees, but too many disabled people still face discrimination in recruitment and the workplace, and the current enforcement framework is simply inadequate. It can and must be fixed. Employers are fundamental to creating inclusive workplaces. Chapter 7 explores how to support businesses in this. We celebrate businesses and public services that already create workplaces where young disabled people can flourish. But many employers remain scared of doing the wrong thing and find it simpler to do nothing. missing out on a pool of talented people. With the right support, both from the government and from other employers, many more workplaces could welcome young disabled people. There will, of course, always be some people who are not able to work due to their disability or health condition. They must receive appropriate support from the welfare system. However, many young disabled people yearn for work and to have a career. Too many are written off, told at every stage that people like them will never thrive in work. This has to change. The presumption has to be, at every stage of a young disabled person's development, that they are fully capable of thriving in work, as long as they have the appropriate support. Aspiration has to be at the heart of supporting young disabled people. We need to think work first.
Conclusions and recommendations. The following paragraphs are conclusions and recommendations in the committee's report. We have listed the corresponding paragraphs in the report at the end of each paragraph. Number 1. It is vital that services supporting young disabled people are co-produced with those young people and with disabled people who have already experienced the transition out of education, regardless of whether they have been able to move into work. Paragraph 16. Number 2. Vocational profiling provides an effective way to identify the aspirations and development needs of young disabled people at an early stage and may enable schools and colleges to put the right career support in place. Paragraph 22. The government should make vocational profiling a standard part of careers information, advice and guidance for young disabled people in schools. The government should have developed a clear plan with a full timeline for implementing this by September 2025, taking into account the training that careers advisors and leaders will need. Paragraph 23. Number 4. Continuous joined-up support for young disabled people, starting in school and continuing until they have secured secure employment, bridges the gap between education and work. It empowers young disabled people both to enter the workplace and to thrive once in employment, and through this provides concrete value for money. Paragraph 27. Number 5. The government should work with local authorities to improve the availability of ready-to-work programmes, such as that provided by Think Forward, to support young people from school until they are settled in work. A plan and timeline for the rollout of such programmes nationally should be developed once the plan for embedding vocational profiling in the school's career advice system has been completed, and should be published no later than the end of the first quarter of 2026. Paragraph 28. Number 6. Supported internships are an effective way to support people furthest from the job market to gain experience of the workplace and enter the workforce. They also provide effective support for employers to address cultural and practical barriers to employing disabled people. Paragraph 33. Number 7. The government should honour the commitment of the previous government to double the number of supported internships and should take steps to ensure that as many young disabled people as possible are eligible for them. Paragraph 34. Number 8. The government should take steps to increase the number of supported internships and should introduce ambitious, time-bound rolling targets for this. Building on the success of supported internships in NHS trusts, the campaign should include targeted work to increase public sector uptake of supported internships. Paragraph 35. Number 9. A single information hub that delivers tailored information to young disabled people and their carers or parents would help them navigate this transition from education to work, identify appropriate support, and understand their specific rights and entitlements. Paragraph 40. Number 10. Drawing on the experience of Scotland, the government should develop an information hub modelled on ARC Scotland's Compass tool for people in England. This should be developed through consultation and in partnership with disabled people and launched within 12 months of the date of this report. Paragraph 41. Number 11. The individualised placement and support model is a proven effective way to support disabled people to access and remain in work. It is vital that momentum on rolling out IPS is maintained. Paragraph 45. The government should continue the rollout of IPS in primary care, setting ambitious targets, both for nationwide availability of the scheme and for the number of people the scheme will support every year. The government should publish detailed statistics on the progress of the scheme at least annually. We ask the government to set out a policy in this area at the earliest possible opportunity. Paragraph 46. Number 13. There is an overreaching concern that the education system is not delivering for young people with special educational needs. As a matter of urgency, the government. Number 14. Education, Health and Care Plans, EHCPs, help young disabled people receive essential educational support and are fundamental to enabling many young disabled people to access employment programmes such as supported internships or more accessible apprenticeships. However, the current system does not deliver the vital support that many young disabled people need, nor does it adequately support the councils and schools expected to deliver it. The current lack of funding and delays in the application process mean that young disabled people are left without vital support, while local authorities waste public money fighting losing battles at tribunal. Alongside this, local authorities and education providers do not have the resources they need to fulfil the requirements set out in existing EHCPs. Paragraph 55. Number 15. The government should increase its support for local authorities to deliver EHCPs and closely monitor both the timeliness and robustness of their decision making with reference to the 20-week timeline for producing a draft EHCP, as well as the proportion of decisions overturned on appeal. We ask the government to update the committee by June 2025 on its progress in improving processes, reducing delays and minimising send tribunal costs and appeals with regard to EHCPs. Paragraph 56. Number 16. Before June 2025, the Department for Education, DFE, should collect and publish data on the number of full-time equivalent careers advisors practising in England and the number of advisors who have received specialist training relating to pupils with special educational needs, SEN. Paragraph 63. Number 17. The government should review training for careers advisors and leaders. This review should consider A. Making in-depth SEN training a mandatory aspect of careers advisors' qualifications. B. Introducing a national professional qualification on careers education, information, advice and guidance for careers leaders, which includes training on SEN and careers. We ask the government to provide an update on this by March 2025. Paragraph 64. Number 18. Because of the greater barriers they face to accessing employment and their need for a deeper understanding of the kinds of support employees can access, young disabled people are particularly likely to benefit from targeted specialist careers advice. It is deeply concerning that this specialist advice is not available to all. Paragraph 68. Number 19. The government's review of post-16 qualifications reform must take into account the employment outcomes, qualifications and assessments open to young disabled people. Paragraph 74. Number 20. The introduction of T levels offers opportunities for young disabled people to gain valuable workplace experience and skills. There is a risk, however, that it will prevent some from progressing in further education through other routes. For those unable to access T levels, BTECs are the ideal alternative, and it is concerning that these are being discontinued, even though the impact on young disabled people is acknowledged and recognised. We welcome the government's decision to pause the defunding of qualifications in August 24 and to conduct a rapid review of post-16 qualifications reform. Paragraph 79. Number 21. The government's review of post-16 qualifications reform must consider and prioritise the impact that reforms will have on young disabled people. The government must commit to retaining all extant BTEC courses, at least until there has been a full evaluation of the impact of the introduction of T levels, both generally and specifically on young disabled people. Even if the ultimate decision is to discontinue support for BTECs, this support must continue until alternative Level 2 and Level 3 qualifications suitable for young disabled people have been fully developed. Paragraph 80. Number 22. We welcome the government's commitment to providing every young person with 2 weeks work experience. Paragraph 87. Number 23. The government must ensure that young disabled people are given equal access to work experience, and they must work with the DWP, schools and local government bodies to address the barriers to access to work experience for young disabled people identified in this chapter. This should include introducing further incentives for schools and colleges to develop work experience opportunities, taking steps to improve support for employers offering work experience, and supporting and incentivising local bodies such as chambers of commerce to encourage businesses to offer work experience opportunities. We ask the government to provide an update to us on progress in this area by March 2025. Paragraph 88. Number 24. We welcome the rollout of supported internships and the government's efforts to widen eligibility for them. Paragraph 91. Number 25. The government should continue to take steps to widen eligibility for supported internships beyond those with educational, health and care plans, whilst ensuring that supported internships are targeted at those who need a high level of support. Paragraph 92. Number 26. We welcome the steps taken to make apprenticeships more accessible to young disabled people, including those without an EHCP, and the commitment to nurturing peer support and learning through the Disabled Apprentice Network. Paragraph 97. Number 27. We welcome the government's steps to make flexibilities around maths and English requirements accessible to people without an education, health and care plan. The government should launch a campaign to clearly communicate the criteria, promote apprenticeships to employers and training providers, and incentivise employers to take on disabled apprentices, and should monitor the number of young disabled people starting apprenticeships due to these changes in eligibility criteria. Paragraph 98. Number 28. Working with the Office for Students, the government should review the provision and quality of accessibility information provided by universities to students. This should include physical accessibility of spaces, adjustments available to students, and previous examples of how adjustments have been implemented, considering the views of disabled students and academics. This review should identify actions for the government, the Office for Students and Universities to take, and should be published before March 2026. Paragraph 101. Number 29. The joining together of Job Centre Plus and the National Career Service to create a National Jobs and Career Service presents an opportunity to ensure these services are delivering high quality, tailored, joined up advice for young disabled people. Paragraph 111. Number 30. In the process of establishing the proposed National Jobs and Career Service, the government should introduce further training for work coaches and DEAs to ensure they are fully able to understand the specific barriers young disabled people face, including in the commissioning and use of assistive technologies. New training should be in place before March 2025. Paragraph 112.
Number 31. The government should take steps to ensure that employment services such as Job Centre Plus and National Career Service facilities are fully accessible for disabled people, including for those who require reasonable adjustments or assistive technology to search for work. Paragraph 113. Number 32. The Access to Work programme has the potential to be transformational in supporting young disabled people to access and remain in work, but its potential is not being realised. Poor awareness of the scheme and delays in processing applications are preventing it from supporting as many disabled people as it could. We therefore welcome the new government's commitment to reducing delays in the application process. Paragraph 120. Number 33. We ask the government to provide the committee with regular updates on progress with reducing the Access to Work application backlog and cutting application times, starting in March 2022. Paragraph 121. Number 34. Supported employment provides an effective way to support people to access and remain in work and can deliver value for money investment. The Universal Support Programme has the potential to increase availability of supported employment programmes. It is essential that the government continues introducing and rolling out universal support, and we hope that the government will move quickly to allay concerns within the sector that they are not committed to the programme. Paragraph 127. Number 35. The government should set out clear timelines and targets for improving the regional and national availability of universal support, as well as metrics focused on employment outcomes for the disabled people who participate in supported employment programmes. Paragraph 128. Number 36. As part of the rollout of universal support, the government should take steps to link universal support offers to supported internships to ensure that young disabled people with the highest needs do not drop out of work at the end of their internship. We ask the government to update the committee on the progress of the rollout by March 2025. Paragraph 129. Number 37. Despite the introduction of disability discrimination legislation over the past 30 years, disabled people still face discrimination in the workplace, and significant numbers of employers hold discriminatory views. For disabled people to access, remain and thrive in work, this must end. Paragraph 135. Number 38. We recognise the need for a clear timeframe for responding to a request for a reasonable adjustment. However, we consider that, taking into account the day-to-day pressures on businesses and employers, 4 weeks would be a more appropriate deadline than 2 weeks. Paragraph 139. Number 39. The government should introduce a 4-week deadline within which employers are obliged to respond to an employee's request for a reasonable adjustment. The government should explore the means by which compliance with the deadline could be monitored and enforced by government and, where appropriate, by the employee themselves. Paragraph 140. Number 40. Some employers appear to have a poor understanding of the rights of disabled people in the workplace and how to uphold them. Paragraph 143. Number 41. Within the next 12 months, the government should launch a campaign aimed at improving attitudes towards disabled people in the workplace. This should be developed in partnership with disabled people and disabled people's organisations and be targeted at employers. Paragraph 144. Number 42. Disabled people, particularly young disabled people, face significant barriers to upholding their workplace rights. The current enforcement mechanisms fail to uphold these rights in a way that supports disabled claimants to remain in work and do not incentivise employers to respect the rights of their disabled employees. We therefore welcome the government's commitment to introducing a single enforcement body and to reforming the employment tribunal to simplify the claims process, extend deadlines and reduce delays. Paragraph 152. Number 43. The government must keep its promise to start the process of implementing its plan to make work pay. Paragraph 153. Number 44. In establishing the single enforcement body, the government must ensure that the body's remit includes the enforcement of disability-related workplace rights and that these are prioritised. The government must also ensure that the body has the powers necessary to support proactively those disabled people who are more vulnerable to having their rights breached or who are less able to engage effectively with other enforcement mechanisms. Paragraph 154. Number 45. Alongside the introduction of a single enforcement body, an employment tribunal which employees can bring their case to must remain in place. We urge the government to complete its reforms of the employment tribunal system as a matter of urgency and ask the government to provide the committee with an update on the progress with this and with reducing the claims backlog by September 2025. Paragraph 155. Number 46. We considered that, in addition to the introduction of a duty to inform all employees of their rights to join a union, there is a compelling case for introducing a wider duty on employers to inform employees about the most important and consequential workplace rights more generally. In particular, we believe that both employers and the government should be responsible for ensuring that all employees are informed of their workplace rights relating to disability and reasonable adjustments. Paragraph 159. Number 47. We ask the government whether, in conjunction with the proposed duty to inform workers of their right to join the union or in separate legislation, to introduce a duty for employers to inform their employees of their workplace rights and, in particular, those rights relating to disability and reasonable adjustments. Paragraph 160. Number 48. When developing an information hub setting out support for young disabled people during the transition from education to work, the government should ensure that workplace rights are prominently highlighted. Paragraph 161. Number 49. The government should take steps to improve awareness of the Equality Advisory and Support Service. Paragraph 164. Number 50. The government should explore ways of incentivising employers to engage with early conciliation mechanisms such as the Equality Advisory and Support Service and ACAS. Paragraph 165.
51. In our view, all the benefits of the voluntary reporting of employers' disability data would apply equally to mandatory reporting. Paragraph 168. 52. We welcome the government's commitment to the principle that disabled people should be paid equally and to the introduction of disability pay gap reporting. Paragraph 173. 53. We urge the government to ensure that disability pay gap reporting is mandatory for employers with more than 250 employees and for all disability confident leaders. Paragraph 174. 54. We also ask the government to support companies with fewer than 250 employees to report voluntarily, drawing on best practice from large employers who already report this information in a meaningful way. Paragraph 175. 55. Achieving disability confidence status at any level should be made conditional upon the employer demonstrating that it has reached clearly defined thresholds for the percentage of its workforce that is disabled. This reporting should be subject to external audit with an employer status being lost or downgraded after a year where these thresholds are not reached. Paragraph 187. 56. The Disability Confidence Scheme itself should be reformed to focus on outcomes rather than the employer's internal processes and procedures, and to ensure that those accredited at the higher levels are subject to commensurately more stringent requirements. Paragraph 188. 57. We welcome the introduction of the government support with Employee Health and Disability Service, which may provide valuable support for employers with disabled employees. Paragraph 190. 58. The content of the support with Employee Health and Disability website should reflect the barriers and challenges faced by both employers and disabled people and should be developed in partnership with disabled people's organisations and employers. The site should act as a single centralised hub for employers with signposting to relevant support regardless of whether that support is delivered by local or central government or by external organisations. It should also be linked to the single information hub for young disabled people so that both employers and young disabled people can easily access the information they need. Paragraph 191. 59. Employers and employer organisations have a key role to play in supporting employers of all sizes to develop inclusive employment practices and support young disabled people in the workplace. Paragraph 194. 60. Alongside work to support and incentivise employer bodies to improve access to work experience, the government should work with representative bodies and membership organisations, including chambers of commerce, to improve awareness and support businesses to recruit and retain young disabled people. Paragraph 195.